how to create love or luck in your love life. That's what we're talking about tonight. So happy to be here with all of you, both on YouTube and Instagram. Hello. Say hello in the comments so I know you're here. I'm also looking over here on Instagram to see if we're coming through. We'll see because there's a delay and I hope to see, but it appears that I'm not able to see your comments on Instagram. So I hope, hey, good to see you, Eden. I hope you will come on over to YouTube if you want to make a comment that I see and I answer a question in the Q&A, because that's what will do it so that I can see you. Because with this setup that I have, while we can go live on both platforms, which I'm so excited about. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. We're going to have some shenanigans tonight. Hello. And I'm going to answer your questions about being lucky in love, because you can be. No matter what has been happening, we are going to turn that around starting today. Yes. You know, a lot of it is a decision. I'm going to give you some information about becoming more lucky, because you can actually create luck in your life. So I'm taking a look to see if I can get any of the feed on Instagram, and it appears not. So, as I said, if you are on Instagram and you just don't want to be a viewer and you want to comment, you need to come on over to YouTube so I can see your comments here and I can answer any questions. Hey, oh, I love that. I got 2 4-leaf clovers from Tamara. Thank you. So before we go any further, for those who are new to my channel or new to me, don't know me from either Instagram or YouTube, and you're just seeing this for the first time, who am I to talk about how to create luck in your love life? I'm Coach Paula Grooms, a dating and relationship coach for women, licensed social worker, and author of the book, Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. I help you find a Mr. Right, get an ex back, grow an existing relationship to the one of your dreams, create it, and then level up to the complete commitment you totally deserve. Hey, Opal, and if anybody wants to come on tonight, you know, if you've if you're in the 80/20 Wonder Club and you want to talk to me, just be sure that you let me know here if you haven't come on earlier. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. And you can talk to me. If you haven't seen any of the lives where someone has come on anonymously and talk to me, we do that here, and it's really great because then I can answer your questions more directly, especially when it's about creating luck in your love life. There's no better time than now to decide, I am lucky in love. I bet you don't say that to yourself. And if you do, you might be thinking, well, that's not really true. And if you're thinking that, what is happening is your subconscious is pushing back on that, and it is giving you an old belief system that you have been programmed to believe, that you are not lucky in love. There is nothing to dictate that the past has any influence on now and the future. Truly not. So I just want to make sure here. I'm going to head over to Instagram and just see. Yeah, there's a little bit of delay, but we are there. I just am not able to see your comments. So let's get started on how to become more lucky and create luck in your love life. I have run across a couple of things that I think are really, really true. And at times, everybody has, if you think about it, I want you to think back while you're watching a couple of these things that I thought were really valuable for you to see. And we're going to unpack them. Pretty much 4 principles that lucky people seem to certainly abide by, and they just embody these traits, so to speak. But you can create it if you haven't and get past the resistance of creating luck in your life. I believe that a lot of it is revolved around fear, and fear in your love life is largely programmed, as we talk about here all the time, coming from your earliest experience of what you know love to be, which is from your birth to age 7 experience. So let's take a look. I want to play this. It's very quick, 2-minute thing here, and then we're going to also go to something else that I think will be helpful, and then we'll unpack these traits, and we're going to parlay it over to you specifically as a woman in your love life. So let's take a look at this first one here, and bear with me a second. Here we go.
British psychologist Professor Richard Wiseman carried out a decade-long scientific study on why some people seem to live charmed lives full of lucky breaks, while others seem to experience one disaster after another. His goal? To understand the psychology of luck. Over the years, he studied 400 extraordinary men and women, aged between 18 and 84, drawn from all walks of life. In one experiment, both the lucky and unlucky people were given a newspaper and asked to count the number of photographs inside. On average, the unlucky people took approximately 2 minutes to count the photographs, whereas the lucky people took just a few seconds. Why? Because on the page 2 of the newspaper, written in large type, was the message, "Stop counting. There are 43 photographs in this newspaper." Just for fun, Professor Wiseman also placed a second large message halfway through the newspaper. It said, "Stop counting. Tell the experimenter you've seen this and win $250. The unlucky people missed this opportunity because they were still too busy looking for photographs. The findings have revealed that luck is neither a magical ability nor the result of random chance. People are not born lucky or unlucky. Instead, people's thoughts and behaviors are responsible for much of their good or bad fortune. The research showed that the luck we experience has more to do with our own mindset than any external factors, and lucky people generate their own good fortune through 4 basic principles. Lucky people are skilled at creating and noticing opportunities. Lucky people make lucky decisions by listening to their intuition. Lucky people create self-fulfilling prophecies via positive expectations. Lucky people adopt a resilient attitude that transforms bad luck into good. Professor Wiseman even set up a luck school to see if people could benefit from his findings. After just 1 month, the results were quite dramatic. 80% of people felt happier, more satisfied with their lives, and perhaps most importantly of all, luckier.
So you see, very interesting, but I'm going to take it a step further. There's an interview with Professor Wiseman, but I want you to be thinking about your openness to opportunities and some of the other points that he made, and then we're going to unpack them piece by piece. Hold on for me 1 second. I'm, not so great at this. Just getting used to it. So bear with me. But I really like this because I think about my own life and when I have created opportunity and manifested what I wanted. I will share that story with you. It's a fun one. Here we go. Yes, this is Professor Wiseman sharing, actually talking to someone and sharing those 4 points.
The luck factor,
Yeah.
The luck factor, yes. You've got like 4 principles that people use to become luckier. I wonder if you can kind of elaborate on those, because I'm sure our listeners would be very...
So these are the principles, the different ways in which lucky people think and behave. So we have they're open to opportunities, and when those opportunities come along, they make the most of them. And you saw that all the time. They're very flexible. So they've got an end point. They knew they wanted to, I don't know, be successful or, financially well off or whatever it was. But the way they were going to get there, they didn't really know. They were looking at the way the wind was blowing and then setting sail to make the most of that. Very flexible folks. Second, they tend to trust their intuition. And so when they get that gut feeling, they really do treat it as an alarm bell and take it quite seriously. Third, they're optimists. And so that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They kind of continue in the face of failure and so on. And fourth, I think it's probably the most important principle, they're extremely resilient. So when bad things happen, they could bounce back.
And that, I believe, is the most important factor, the resilience and bouncing back. And we're going to talk about how you do that. Because if you can do that, I believe in terms of dating and relationships and heartbreak, which I don't think there's anyone who's reached a certain age who has not experienced heartbreak. If not, you really, I believe, don't actually embody the fullness of the love experience. In other words, if you have not experienced heartbreak, how will you actually know that the love you have, say, even if you met you're 10 years old, you fall in love, and you go through life with that man who also fell in love with you at 10 years old. After high school, you go to college together, you get married in college, and you live and live and live until you're, say, 40s or 50s. Do you really think there's not going to be some points in there that you're going to have some doubts and even regrets about your young life, or you will not have experienced the fullness of what love is? You may not even appreciate that relationship, that adage, you never know what you've got till it's gone. I totally believe that, and I think it's very important that we do experience heartbreak to really know a lot about ourselves and the fullness of life. So let's unpack a few of these principles for you to create more luck in your life. The first is open to opportunities. I think that this one, we as women don't take advantage of as much as we could, because there's a lot out there about not making the first move on a man, not going up to him first, a lot of this stuff. And especially if you're a rules girl or you're more conservative, you feel that would be too much. A lot of resistance to doing that. Well, I go under the premise that it is not about whether or not you make the first move, so to speak. And the move doesn't have to be major at all for a man to kind of take it from there once you've made the first move. I don't think it has to be major. I think it can be very simple, but it does typically have to be more than smiling. If you'll notice, I think there's not a woman alive who has fancied when she sees someone and he smiles, she smiles, and you think, why is he not taking this cue? Well, he's not taking the cue many times for many reasons, not the least of which, and in no particular order, are first, well, I should say after the first one. The first one is men do not read social cues like women do. They're typically, when studied, not good at it at all. So they can be hesitant from just a smile across the room. You think you're being overt, but for him, it doesn't read very well. So it has to be more. You have to engage in some way. That can be uncomfortable, but again, open to opportunities. Because you have to think, well, what's really the harm? If you were to say something to a man, and I'm going to give you a tip of what you can say in almost any situation that is pretty or can seem pretty banal and not too flirty, but it absolutely opens the door. And I got this tip from watching something that was really interesting, and it had to do with waiters and waitresses. So, waiters and waitresses who do 3 things or 4 things exponentially get better tips than others. And those things were introduce themselves with their name. Hi, I'm Paula. I'll be your waitress today. Made a recommendation. You know, the fish tonight is fantastic if you're interested in fish. Something like that. Then the person, and here's the tip, once the patron ordered, the waiter or waitress solidified it with, that's a really good choice. So this, I extrapolate that you could use for anything. Even if you'd like to on a first date. It's very uncomfortable first meeting from online. You sit down together, you're there for happy hour. You order whatever you order, because typically he'll say you order first as the woman, and then he orders whatever it is. Say it's a particular wine, beer, whatever. You could say something like, that's a really nice choice of beer. Maybe it's a cider or something. That's a really good choice. You could do this with that. You could, in any situation, you can like extrapolate this with different things. You are in line in the grocery store. Show interest. Instead of being on your phone, even if he is on the phone, which most of the time this will be the case, you could look in the cart and say, I hope you don't mind. You drink chai? I don't even know what that is. I'm wondering about it. What does it taste like? Now it's a really good choice, but you see, I've taken something that he's done, shown, it's not an outright compliment. Now, if you saw something in the cart that you think is really cool, he has a particular, say, cold coffee he likes. You could say, hey, that cold brew, that's a really good choice. I love it. It's a compliment without something overt. Those are taking the opportunities that present themselves. You have to think before, right? You have to be ready. I believe that open to opportunity is actually preparing for opportunity. Does that make sense? Preparing for opportunity. You're going to run into men. You're at the grocery store pushing your cart and you see him take something off the shelf, and you just walk on by with your cart and say, hey, really good choice of dressing. It's opening something up that isn't that overt. I also think a really good one that's not It's not, I like that. It's different. You're remarking on something he's done, but you're not putting yourself in it. I like it. So if you say something like, really cool shoes, the really cool, it's not too overt, like, I like your shoes. Very subtle, but I think a delineation that makes it a little, has a little essence of wonder. You see? So you have to think about, I am creating luck in my life by being open to opportunities, preparing for opportunities. Opportunities come my way. I am prepared for them. We've often heard the adage, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So prepare. What's intrinsic to you? What can you say that's more like you that you can extrapolate from what I'm saying here? What's intrinsic to you? But be ready, be prepared, and take that leap of being the first one to say something. And now I'm going to finish what I said initially. It's not that you are the one to make the first overture that's the issue. It's what you let him take it from there. Making the first overture, I believe, in today's modern Western world, not a problem at all. He sees that you're open. If he doesn't, you're like putting the door ajar. If he doesn't walk through, he doesn't. And I want you to think of the reasons why. It's the same reason why he might not be walking across the room in the party or wherever you are after that smile. The first reason is he doesn't take social cues that well. Second is that he's involved. That's simple. And if he is, he's not going to follow through or do anything. Okay? That's simple. He just, for whatever reason, doesn't find your type, is not that interested, what have you. Any of that could be the case. Maybe, maybe not. But you attempted. And if you do that 10 times, you're going to get some mileage out of that. And I challenge you to start doing that. Just say, I'm open to opportunities. I'm making my opportunities. I'm following through. I am prepared. And know what you're going to say. I would prefer when you say things like, the reason I like things like cool shoes, it's not something like, and again, to differentiate, I like your watch. Be careful about things that connote that you have made note of something relative to his money. No, when you just say cool shoes, it's different. Now, you can say cool watch, but again, watch, car. If you say it that way, very offhand, like cool car, you're showing, I don't really know what cars are or how much it costs or the watch costs or what have you. So it's a little lighter, a little better. But prepare and seize your opportunity. I want you to challenge yourself starting today and do it with men that you may not be interested in at all. Listen, you're in a public place. You don't have to give them your number. Move on, skirt away if you're not interested, but you see the reaction. And each success builds on a success, and that's what makes luck. Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So, another thing that I think is really important out of those four is flexibility and resilience. So the flexibility is to switch gears quickly. And that's part of, you're in the mind space of your shopping, but you see this man switch gears quickly and seize the opportunity. You're out with a group and you intended, and here's where the intuition comes in. You intended to, I don't know, make it an early night, or you're not really feeling it right there within the group. But then everyone says, hey, we're going to go over to X party or so-and-so's house or whatever. Feel the intuition like, I think I should go. There is something telling you, do that. Do it. In that scenario, even if you're going to make it an early night, you don't have to stay just because you went. But you see, seize the opportunity, be flexible, use your intuition. And now the resilience. The resilience is, this is, I think, a very salient point about luck, is to reframe your experiences. Reframe things that you're thinking about that might be negative to the positive. Many times, the worst that has happened to us turns out to be something really incredible. I recall a story of a woman who was battered and abused by a boyfriend. It was a truly horrific story. It was something I watched on one of those, IDTV shows or whatever. And it was terrible. I mean, she was beaten and hurt. And at this particular juncture, he had, I think, attempted to murder her, and she had crawled for help and was dying. This really terrible, tragic situation. And she nearly died. And it was that incident whereby the EMT and the rescuer fell in love with her, down the line. And she had got her happy ever after. So the worst possible thing in her life, tragic, awful thing, actually resulted in her meeting the love of her life. And if we can reframe our negative experiences and take the positive from it, which we usually can't do until after the fact. We can only connect the dots looking backwards. Why something not so great happened to us. We could actually reframe it that, wasn't I lucky? Now, in that case, you might think, well, that's a really hard one to do. She got really hurt. It was a really terrible thing. But in the end, luck of this wonderful man and her wonderful life with him came out of it. Well, if that's the way it went down, it went. In other words, if she hadn't met him out of it, she'd still have had that awful experience. So she was lucky. And this is the way you want to look at it. I told you I was going to tell you a story of how I made my luck, so to speak, because I think you can manifest luck. We talk about that here all the time. My 3-pillared approach of finding love in your life, creating the relationship you deserve, getting the commitment you want, getting an ex back, all of it. It is mindset, manifesting, and using my Mechanics of Men method, which encompasses mindset, which is self-worth, self-concept, our affirmations we use, working on our subconscious programming, and manifesting, which keeps us in the positive space that we need to be, knowing that we can get what we desire and deserve, knowing we can have the love that we want, because you can. So this was years ago, back, wow, I'm thinking now, it was 2005. And I just decided that I was going to get, if you know it at all, there was a TV show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And I had met someone who, I forget if she was on it or she tried to get on it or something like that. And I just decided then and there, because I live in New York, I was going to be on it. And that was it. It's like, I'm going to manifest. I'm going to be on that show. I only made one mistake I'll tell you about at the end. So it was actually, it was the afternoon version with Meredith Vieira. It was on, I don't know how many years that was on, but it was the afternoon version with Meredith Vieira, and I was getting on. In other words, I made up my mind that was it. And if you do this with, I'm meeting my one, I'm meeting, or I'm making this occur with my man, I have this relationship I want, I have the love I want, it's a done deal. And at the time, here was the statistic on that show, that I think it was something like, and I hope I'm not going to stand corrected, something like 25,000 people a year apply to get on. About 2,500 went through the process of taking the test, and only 250 got on. And it was the very last year. They didn't know if they were coming back for next season. And I was with a boyfriend at the time who, I believe he was, I'm sure he's higher IQ than I, but because I made up my mind, and frankly, because I was older, and so I had some more life experience, I had some knowledge that he didn't. But I remember we went and we took the test, and he was angry because I passed it and he didn't. And because I passed the test, I went to the next round and I met the producers. And it was just like, for me, and this is about the luck part of it, like there was no question. I was getting on. That was it. I was getting on. And to make this story even like more interesting, so I was called to do the show, go to the studio, ABC Studios, you could not have your cell phone. You could not have any writing or reading material. You could not all day. You had to be in the room with the other folks who were going to be in the lineup to do the show. And they pretty much had their lineup the way they were going to line it up. And pretty much backstage, after 8 hours of being there and waiting, et cetera, all the people are called out. And if you know anything about the show, you hit certain tiers and you have lifelines at the time. And if you didn't hit those, you could opt out at certain amounts of money, or you could keep going and potentially win more. Or if you lose, you're out. So, or you don't answer one right, you're out. And it was down to the wire. And again, this is the last show of the season in December. I'll never forget it. It was like before Christmas. And they didn't know whether they were coming back the next year. And they said to the last of us who might get on, they said, if you get on, you're going to be able to play through, even if the show, because it's a certain time frame, is over. So the man before me, with whom I'd spent, 8 hours in this room getting to know all the other contestants, and you're really wanting them, to do well too. And he got up to a certain price point and he had used no lifelines, and there was only like 10 minutes left in the show. And I'm the next one up. And it was like, I'm getting on. I'm getting on. But nothing indicated he had gotten every single answer right. And he was up to the $25,000 price point. And he could use a lifeline or not. And I just thought, it was at once I was like, I want him to do well, but if he answers this right, then I'm not going to get on. Because there was not enough time. Even though they said you'd play through, they probably wouldn't have started the next one had he gone to another certain level. And he hadn't used any lifelines. So he had 3 to use on this one question. The question came, he answered it, and it was wrong. And everyone was shocked because he was so bright. He got all of them right up to all that point. And I'm up. Here's what I didn't manifest within the story. So anyone who knows it, who's with me in my life at that time, I opted out at $16,000. I did not want to go further and possibly risk. So I got $16,000. But I didn't manifest the amount of money. If I had manifested more, I would have been more lucky. Not that I wasn't lucky, but I would have been more lucky. So the moral of the story is that you decide today, St. Patrick's Day, no more shenanigans. I'm lucky. I am lucky. I'm lucky in love. Isn't it fantastic? I'm lucky in love. I am becoming very lucky in love. My love is right around the corner because I'm lucky. Those types of thoughts in your mind, rather than the programmed thoughts of lack, limitation, not being enough, etc. You must override them and have ultimate faith. You must seize opportunities. Trust your intuition. Be flexible and reframe. Reframe all of this to, I'm getting everything I desire and deserve because I am lucky. I'm so lucky. That's a really wonderful, I'm going to put that up because that's really nice. That's what I do this for. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful picture. So, yes, good. Be positive. Keep yourself in that positive mindset because it is infectious. You can create what you desire. It is unwavering faith. Faith in luck. Why not? So I want to open it up to Q&A. If there's anything going on with you today, let's get you more lucky, more love, creating the love that you desire and deserve. As I said, if you're watching on Instagram, unfortunately, I can't see your comments. So that's why I always say, come on over here to YouTube if you want to do more than watch and you want to make a comment, get me to answer any question. But I hope you can take away from this. I hope I can infuse some of that luck. Take notice of synchronicities in your life if you haven't. And really start using your opportunities by preparing, trusting yourself, taking that leap of faith, being, if you don't have that man in your life, being the one to make the first move, then allow him to continue it. And if he doesn't, you just had a nice interaction and you practiced. Fantastic. So, everybody's so quiet tonight. So thank you, Kara, for making that comment. Learning what makes people tick gives you luck, like a waiter saying right choice. Yes. The waiter would say, yes, good choice. It's just an affirmation of, it's affirming someone's pick. That's what I like about making a comment like, not like, I like your choice. In other words, you're taking yourself out of it. You're not injecting yourself. Although you are who are you to say right choice? But it does affirm somebody's pick. And it's not like, I like something you're doing or wearing or whatever, but that's why I say use the term like great or great shirt or wow, great color of shirt, cool shoes. People want to be affirmed for their character, for sure, and for their choices, because their choice is who they are. It makes me feel good when someone says that to me, like when I'm ordering something. Okay, yeah. And like some kind of, when you think the waiter is part of the restaurant, and I love when they're honest. I think that we can smell fakeness, honesty. Out to dinner the other night, and whoever we were with said something like, well, how's the so-and-so? Would you recommend that or the whatever? And the waitress said, no, I think it's a little heavy on the breading. I would go with the other choice. And it's just that honesty of it, that no, not everything is great there and not everything is for you. It more solidifies and puts trust. See, when you trust the waiter or waitress, that creates something whereby, yes, you want to be more generous, especially men. As a woman, I'm okay with you're pretty. Okay, good. Many women are not. And I've said this before here, that answers can be kind of fun and flirty. So if men who like, it depends on the context, but if they just come up out of the blue, I remember one, it was just so out of the blue. I mean, he had, I think I was at a bar, it's like a coffee bar or something, standing, and he comes up, he's like here, and he just comes up and immediately, "You're so pretty," and and it was because it was so fast, and I just said, "Wow, you're so smart," and he laughed. Yeah, it was like a validation of his choice, you see, and that was it. I like that one. I like saying, "My goodness, you have such good taste," or "You obviously have good taste in women." That's a fun, flirty one. It's better than "Thank you," which kind of shuts it down. Now you can say the thank you too. "Thank you. You obviously have great taste." That's fun. Or, "My goodness, you're so perceptive." Stuff like that. It moves the needle rather than just shut it down with a thank you. You can always add the thank you. Yeah, it's fun. It also creates opportunity. Now, the opposite doesn't work very well. Men feel more uncomfortable being complimented on certain things that they haven't achieved. So we need to be a little careful about those compliments. In other words, if he didn't create it or achieve it in some way, it's not as comfortable. Or, like you said, character. Character is okay. So if you really know a man, giving him the, "You're a really good man," that's like gold, because it takes a lot to be a really good man. It's a wonderful reminder to practice regularly complimenting strangers. Yes, if it's real and it's in a context of um, something that is really intrinsic to that person. And again, if it's something he's done or achieved, not his looks, I believe, especially early on. Yeah, I think it is a good one to simply something like things like, "Wow, you're a really good brother," or, "I hope your friends appreciate you. You're a really good friend." Things like that. "Yes, I said that to a man I just met the other day. I'm wondering what you said." Probably not that. And he giggled and immediately said, "We should get together sometime. You're a good man," moves the needle. Okay, interesting. Hopefully you know him well enough to be able to say that. Like if you see a man do something like a random act of kindness or something, so you're on, something he does strikes you that way, and you're walking by, you could say, what a wonderful random act of kindness. You got a little star in heaven today, or something like that. That's a nice opener. Or he doesn't think anyone's watching. Maybe he's walking ahead of you. A little doggy who's sitting outside on a leash got all wrapped around, and he just fixes it for the doggy to walks on. I might walk up beside him and say, that was a lovely random act of kindness. You get kudos for that one. Or, I don't think you thought anybody was looking, but that was a lovely gesture. Any suggestions for practicing resilience? Yes, reframing stuff in your life that you thought was negative, but turns out if it hadn't happened, something good would not have come out of it. See, everything in life falls under the law of opposites. So everything just is. Inherently, nothing's good or bad. It's both, whatever it is, good and bad. Cell phone, good or bad? Both. Anything. You can think of good things and not good things. So we want to stay on the side of the good things, and the good things that come from the not so good things. All of us has had, all of us have had, if this negative thing had not have happened, we would not have X. So whenever something negative happens, you want to think something good is coming from this. That helps you build that resilience. I went hiking yesterday in a group and I remembered this guy's name. He seemed really flattered about that. Okay, yeah. See how simple it is? That's a good one, yeah. Excellent. Good. So this was great tonight. I hope this was helpful for you to start to create luck in your love life by feeding yourself affirmations of luck. Opal asked, any suggestions for practicing resilience? Well, you want to start saying, I am resilient. My resilience has gotten me the wonderful life I have. My resilience creates luck. And this year, I'm lucky. I am lucky. I create luck in my life. My resilience helps me create luck in my life. Anything that will help you remember it. I am optimistic, resilient, lucky, and plucky. Make it fun so you remember it. And you keep it on repeat. I often say something that I wish I knew who said it. I should look it up. Maybe I can find out who said it. Someone said, we don't need more information. We need more reminding. Most of us know what to do. We just need more reminding to do it. That's why when I'm working with women, a lot of my work with them is reminding. We all need that. And you all being here, you are helping yourselves to remember. You come back here, you do it, it will pay off. Even if you take just little snippets of each thing that we're talking about. So, glad to be with you tonight. thankful for all of you. I feel very lucky to have you all in my life. If you would, for me, when this video is over, give it a like, comment after the video. That's always helpful. Share it. We hit my 250 mark. Thankfully, we went over it. We are well over it now, but we want to get more and more so more women can join us in this quest that we want every woman loved. That's my quest. If you all know Mo Gaudat, he's a Google X guy. He wrote the book 1 Billion Happy. And I always say, every woman loved. That's my mission. Every woman loved and having the love that she desires. That's my mission. I hope that you will join me in it and you will be one of those. You are so welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing, sharing. Any comments help the algorithms. That's always appreciated. And I will see you in the next video.